A few weeks ago, I uploaded a Pokemon Black hardcore Nuzlocke while only using short Pokemon. So, as you would expect, it's only right for me to do the opposite. Today, I'll be attempting a Pokemon Platinum hardcore Nuzlocke with only tall Pokemon. When I was planning out this video, I was really struggling to figure out at what height I should consider a Pokemon to be tall. After scrolling through Bulbapedia's list for a bit, I decided that any Pokemon that is 5 feet or taller will be usable in this challenge. Now to us humans, 5 feet isn't really that tall. However, as I mentioned in the last hardcore video, height is a very weird characteristic in the Pokemon universe, as many fully evolved Mons are under 5 feet tall or barely over it. Before we get going, here's a quick breakdown of the rules. I will be abiding by normal Nuzlocke rules, which means if a Pokemon faints, it is dead forever, and I can only catch the first Pokemon I encounter on each route, as long as it meets the height requirement. As for the hardcore rules, I will not be allowed to use items in battle, the battle style will be set, and I cannot level up over the next gym leader's ace. Anyways, without further ado, let's find out if I've got what it takes to get this dub. When naming my rival, I was trying to figure out what problems tall people come across. So, I called him Doorway, because tall people sometimes struggle with the low doorways. Anyways, I replaced Piplup with Ekans, who comes in at a surprising 6 foot 7 inches. I started with Ekans because I felt like it was the most fair Pokemon for the beginning of the game. My lengthy purple snake jabbed at Turtwig for a bit until it went down. I then named it Rattle because that sounded cool, and I did some necessary grinding on Route 204 before the second rival fight. Now that Rattle knew Bite, Doorway was a pushover. Starly went down easily, while Turtwig lasted a little longer due to withdrawal. After that, I hurried over to the Orberg mine in order to catch our second team member, Onyx. This rocky snake measures in at a whopping 28 foot 10. By the way, I was in a rush when catching Onyx, so yes, I gave him the very basic name of Rocky. Rourke was a very close and surprisingly intense battle. Geodude went down to a couple of bites, but he also brought Ekans down to 14 HP, which basically eliminated him from the rest of the fight. So, Onyx came in, killed one of his relatives, and then barely hung on with 6 hit points before taking down Cranidos with a few rock smashes. The Commander Mars battle started with an easy takedown of Zubat. On the other hand, Purugly ate my rock smashes a lot better than I thought it would. In the meantime, Rocky was getting whittled down by Feint Attack. In the end, I once again survived with a sliver of health and killed the fat cat. Still no encounters to get, so it's on to Gardenia. Thank goodness Ekans evolves at level 22, because without Arbok, this battle was not possible. Rattle got through Turtwig and Cherim easily by using Acid. I went for Crunch on Roserade, and luckily got a defense drop, so another Crunch did the trick. Let me just say, without Roserade's defense getting lowered, the Nuzlocke would have been over. Commander Jupiter caught me off guard by using Giga Drain with her Zubat. I didn't even know Zubat could learn Giga Drain. Anyways, Rocky lived with 11 HP, so another rock throw took her down. For Skuntank, I went over to Rattle, paralyzed her, and then started going for Crunch. Unfortunately, that wasn't doing much damage, while Night Slash was hitting me hard. Because of this, Onyx sadly had to go down. However, because I got extremely lucky with Skuntank getting fully paralyzed a couple of times, Arbok got the job done. Down in the Wayward Cave, I was able to technically revive Rocky by just catching another Onyx. I actually almost lost here, since Onyx wouldn't stay in the stupid Pokeball, but the risk was definitely worth it. Also, you already know I had to call it Rocky number 2. Fantina was much easier to defeat than I thought she would be. Duskull got taken out in one crunch, while I had to be a little lucky with Confusion in order to kill Mismagius. Last out was Haunter, so I went over to Rocky, powered through all the Confusion and Hypnosis, and won the battle with a few rock throws. Doorway was blocking the path to Route 209, so of course we had to teach him a lesson. After some annoying double teams, Staravia died to a couple of rock throws. Weevil and Ponyta weren't able to do too much, so Grottle was out last. He barely even attacked a Rattle, making it a very easy win with Acid. North of Salacion Town, I ran into a Noctowl who stands at a very respectable 5'3". This encounter couldn't have come at a better time, as the fighting type gym is up next. Not to mention, Noctowl gets access to some psychic type moves as well. By the way, I called him Eyebrows. I don't think those big yellow horn looking things are his actual eyebrows, but whatever. The Maylene fight started with 2 easy KOs by Noctowl's Air Slash. For Lucario, I switched to Arbok, who not only got the Intimidate up, but also landed a Glare. This battle was still a close one, as Eyebrows got taken down to yellow health before finishing off Lucario. I really thought Maylene would have healed when she got to the red range, but she didn't, so I'm not complaining. In the Great Marsh, I ran into a Tropius, who soars in at 6 feet and 7 inches. This is yet another clutch encounter, as Crasher Wake is the very next gym leader. The bananas on Tropius's chin reminded me of Donkey Kong, so I named him DK. Before we could take on the gym though, Doorway was already looking for a rematch. Staravia went down the same way as last time, and I even let Tropius get in on the action against Weevil. After that, Ponyta and Grottle stood no chance, allowing for another easy win. Crasher Wake was probably the toughest gym leader up to this point. I put Gyarados to sleep before heading over to Arbok, who got the job done with Crunch and Return. As expected, Quagsire got taken down by DK, so Floatzel was out last. I went back to Rattle for the Intimidate and to paralyze him. However, Brine did more damage than expected, so I sent Tropius back out, even though I knew Floatzel had Ice Fang, but DK was really our only choice. Unfortunately, I couldn't get lucky with Paralysis, so as quickly as Tropius came on the team, he was off of it. In return though, this did allow Arbok to get us the 5th badge. I totally forgot that you battle Cyrus in Celestic Town, but he was mostly just a pushover. Murkrow gave us a little trouble with the Drill Peck, but he was nothing that Rattle couldn't handle. Now that we have Surf, a couple of great encounters open up, starting with a 5'7" Golduck in Twinleaf Town, who I nicknamed Donald, and a 5'3" Tentacruel on Route 219, who I called Squidward. Over at Iron Island, I was hoping to find a Steelix, but instead I ended up with a Golbat, who also comes in at 5'3". Crobat is still really good, but I feel like a Steelix would have provided better type coverage. In the middle of catching all those new team members, Doorway challenged us to a fight. It was pretty similar to the last encounter with him, but this time around, Golduck was able to kill Floatzel, and his new Heracross got one-shot by Noctowl. The Byron battle was filled with a couple of one-shots, as Onyx destroyed a Magneton, and a Golduck washed away Steelix. There wasn't too much of a difference for Bastiodon, as two Surfs from Donald did the trick. As you know, we're at the point of the game where we have to deal with some Team Galactic shenanigans, starting in Lake Valor. Commander Saturn's Toxicroak was the only thing that posed a threat, but it still died without a problem. Commander Mars was back for revenge in Lake Verity, but Tentacruel got the job done against Purugly, so there was no challenge. I was pretty worried going into the Candace battle, since I didn't really have a good counter for ice types. Luckily, Onyx began by getting a defense drop with a Rock Smash on Sneasel, so another one took him down. I went over to Squidward for Abomasnow, and I got a Toxic Spike set up before using Poison Jab, while sadly dying in the process. However, this allowed Eyebrows to get the easy kill. For the second half of the fight, Golduck easily dealt with Piloswine and Frostlass. At the top of the Galactic HQ, it was time for another showdown with Cyrus. Arbok got the job done against Sneasel, while Noctowl had no issue taking down Crobat. Last up was Honchkrow, so I confused him with Confuse Ray before dishing out some good damage with Rock Throw. Rattle then got the Intimidate up before letting Eyebrows and Donald do the rest of the work. Right after that, Commander Saturn was angry about what happened at Lake Valor, but unfortunately for him, this battle turned out the same way as last time. When I reached the snowy section of Mount Coronet, I caught myself an Abomasnow. This Yeti-like Pokemon stands at a menacing 7'3". We don't have a Grass or Ice type, so this is a very nice addition to the team. The double battle with Mars and Jupiter was much easier than I thought it would be. I only had to use Golduck, Arbok, and Onyx, and I never got too much damage put on me. This is mainly because they decided to attack my rival's Pokemon, but it's a hardcore Nuzlocke, so I'll take what I can get. Now it was time for the battle that I feared most, because no matter how you're playing through Pokemon Platinum, the Cyrus fight in the Distortion world is always a challenge. Donald began by one-shotting Houndoom, while taking a powerful Thunderfang. I then went over to Rattle for the Intimidate on Gyarados before killing him with a few avalanches. Abomasnow one-shot Crobat, but he got poisoned by Cross Poison, but because the Shell Bell and Ingrain animation came before the poison, Abomasnow lives on. Anyways, Honchkrow stood no chance against Onyx, So last out was Weevil, aka the Team Killer. This man one-shot Noctowl, finished off Arbok, and barely survived to kill Rocky number 2. Despite all that, Batman outsped and won the battle with a single wing attack. So after that fight, I chucked my Master Ball at the Gardenia, who levitates at a height of 22 feet and 8 inches. You might call me cheap for catching a legendary Pokemon, but I literally just lost half of my team, so I desperately need this bulky boy. Additionally, I caught a Dusclops who stands at 5'3", before adding a Noctowl to the team who was chillin' in the PC for a while. Volkner was a pushover because I now have a Gardenia who can boost his stats with Ancient Power or Ominous Wind. So yeah, you already know that I swept his entire team. Before taking on the Elite Four, we have one more test against Doorway. However, just like the recent battles with him, I didn't really get into any danger. His toughest mon was probably Snorlax, but all I had to do was burn him and finish him off with Batman. So here's one final look at the team before heading in. I got each mon up to level 59, since the level cap for Cynthia is 62, and I'll probably be gaining a few levels throughout each battle. I also taught some mons new moves in order to improve the type coverage on the team. Unlike the last hardcore Nuzlocke, I'm feeling very confident going into the Elite Four, but let's find out if we can actually win. Aaron was by far the easiest member, as Gardenia dealt with his bug flying types, while Golduck took down Drapion, and Crobat got the job done against Heracross and Scizor, with some help from Dusclops' Will-O-Wisp. Bertha started by sending out Whiscash, who got demolished by a single Woodhammer. I stayed in to use Blizzard on Gliscor, but I didn't know that she had Fire Fang, so Obama Snow nearly died. As a result, I went over to Donald, who had no issues finishing off Gliscor and one-shotting Golem and Rhyperior. Last out was Hippowdon, so I tried to combat it with Gardenia, but we didn't do as much damage as I thought. I then switched to Cyclops, who didn't last long because I somehow forgot that Hippowdon knew Crunch, even though she just used it a couple turns ago. Nonetheless, Batman saved the day with a critical fly. Golduck crashed the fiery party against Flint, as I immediately set up a rain dance. Because of this, Houndoom, Infernape, and Rapidash all died in a single hit. However, I was low on health when Magmortar was coming out, and I didn't know if one Surf would do the trick, so I sent out our bulky boy to do the dirty work. Flareon was out last, but Noctowl's Air Slash and Shadow Ball was too much, so we're over halfway done with the E4. The last member of the Elite Four was Lucian. Mr. Mime went down to a few Shadow Claws, while Alakazam and Espeon stood no chance against Garatina's Shadow Force. Bronzong was coming out next, and this was the mon I was worried about the most, as I didn't have a Fire-type or Fire-type move. I sent out Abomasnow, who did some great damage with Woodhammer, so much, in fact, that Bronzong lived with a sliver of health, but the hail was enough to kill him. Last out was Gallade, and I unfortunately did not know that he had Stone Edge, so we lost another Noctowl. This was really annoying because, as you can see here, by Gardenia winning the battle, that death was very avoidable. Now it was time for the final showdown versus Cynthia. Because I used a Rain Dance, Spiritomb went down easily to a Surf and a Brine. Roserade surprisingly died to a single fly from Batman, so Togekiss was up next. Of course, I couldn't get any stat boosts from Agent Power for Giratina, however, he did manage to get a crit, which is equally as good. I knew Garchomp had Flamethrower, but I took the risk by sending out Abomasnow, and he survived with 10 hit points and KO'd Cynthia's ace. Lucario had no shot against Giratina's Earth Power, so Milotic was the final Mon standing in our way. Because Abomasnow was so low on health, he couldn't get off a Wood Hammer, so it was up to our other team members. Crobat got off a clutch Toxic before dying, but that allowed the bulkiest of boys to win the fight and make us the new champions with a single Shadow Force. Well, would you look at that? I have officially won this hardcore Nuzlocke challenge. I really enjoyed using a wide variety of Pokemon, especially the ones that I've never used before, like Dusclops, for example. I had a ton of fun creating this video, as this type of challenge is unique and different from all those only one type hardcore Nuzlocks that you see everywhere nowadays. Let me know if you guys would like to see more of these videos, and be sure to check out some of my other challenges that I've done here on the channel. For now though, if you enjoyed, then be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell to see more. And until next time, deuces!